This NFL Films production is a presentation of the National Football League.
Just remember this. 40 men together can't lose.
Together right here on three, man. 1, 2, 3.
Pump it in there, baby.
This is a great showdown between two outstanding organizations.
And the hockey fullback gets with a bunch of Let's go in here like a bunch of crazy dogs.
Everything hangs in the balance now.
This has got to be the alley-oop. There's no time for This one will be relived.
Remarkable game. Effort. Outstanding.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
The Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, recently celebrated its greatest weekend ever. As the legends of the past returned to the birthplace of the NFL to take part in the largest reunion of its kind.
Never before in any sport has this many Hall of Famers been at one place at one time. It's living history. And these are the guys that have made the game that we love and know so well today.
Over 100 past inductees returned to Canton. Some came to see old friends, others to make new ones.
I wanted to say hello and meet Joe Montana, a kid from Pennsylvania, scroungy kid. You look at him, you say, pro football player. But what a pro football player, yes. And I would like to see if they know who I am. And by golly, they did.
No matter how they expressed themselves, each member was well aware of the magnitude of the event.
You could never dream of reaching this height, of being the elite group of professional football's finest. You can't dream that.
I really didn't understand it until I got there and I saw, in fact, what amounted to the greatest team in the history of the NFL. You are part of a fraternity, the best of the best that's ever played.
This is the one team from which you can never be cut. You can't be traded off this team. You can't even die off this team. You're on this team for immortality, and your children and your children's children and their children can come here and look at your bust and say, that was my grandfather and that was my great-grandfather, and talk about wanting to go, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy.
We are all standing on someone else's shoulders. We did not get to where we are in the year 2000 all by ourselves. That we have a tremendous debt to pay to those people that built this game. The young players know that there's a history, there's a tradition, and there's a legacy that they have to live up to.
The passage of time in the NFL can be measured in generations. Each receives the torch of the game's tradition and passes it to the next. Recently, 4 members of the Hall of Fame sat down with 4 of the NFL's current stars. The Buccaneers' Derek Brooks, the Chiefs' Tony Gonzalez, the Browns' Tim Couch, and the Giants' Michael Strahan. Together, they talked about where the game has been and where it will go in the next century. Coming up, the Giants' Michael Strahan meets Hall of Famer Deacon Jones.
Do they offer shoe deals?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys get shoe deals in there?
You didn't have a shoe deal?
Shoe deal? I had to buy my own shoes, man.
If I had to live life over again, I'd play football. Simple as that. And I tell you, I'd play it in any era, any time, because I love it.
At the Meadowlands this past offseason, Hall of Fame defensive end Deacon Jones stopped by to see current Giants defensive end Michael Strahan and spread the gospel of the Hall of Fame.
When you walk in that hall and you look at these busts sitting there, man, and there's yours sitting in there amongst the greatest Bronco Nagurski.
Yeah.
I mean, the greatest players in the world, and I'm still trying to figure out how I got there. I took this quote from War and Peace, I use it in my Hall of Fame presentation, and that is, violence in its many forms is an involuntary quest for identity. And when that identity is threatened, we got a mandate for war.
His nickname was the Secretary of Defense, but diplomacy was not his forte. David Deacon Jones was the most dominant defensive lineman of his era and could easily play in today's NFL, although he might not recognize the training methods.
Even now in our training, we've started doing karate. But, yeah,
you kidding me?
No, I'm serious. We started to do karate. We got all these fancy moves and all this stuff, but we don't have anything like the head slap.
Yeah.
So I would really love it if you could show me how it works.
Well, I didn't invent the head slap. I perfected it. Okay? Rembrandt didn't invent painting either. The head slap had two purposes. Two here, and then occasionally bring that knee right up in the groin area. You got to figure it's a lot of things that went on in this game that they've cleaned up. I mean, a lot of dirty stuff that went on. I mean, I got to admit it. I had a metal plate right in here. I had it cut to fit in here, and then I put that wet cast on top of it. So I really wasn't slapping you with my legal hand. I was slapping you with a piece of metal, solid steel. And I hit that helmet right over that earlobe there. Right over that little hole they have there over the ear, and you'll ring for days. You think phones are ringing in your house for the rest of your life? That head slap would cost you about $75,000 if you used it now, so take it out of your mind.
Woo, welcome home, baby.
Even though he's never had the advantage of the head slap, Michael Strahan plays defensive end with the same intensity Deacon Jones did a generation earlier. On the field, not much has changed, but inside the locker room, it's a different story.
You know, I haven't been in the locker room in a long time, and you know I played eons ago. And to walk in here and see, this is like the Waldorf. I mean, when do you guys get around playing football?
I mean, I know the locker room's probably a lot different.
Two guys shared lockers. You know, we had two stools, one hook.
To share one locker.
To share one locker. And the shoes. Have you ever seen so many shoes?
You have guys who have 20, 30 pairs of shoes in one locker.
Do they offer shoe deals?
Yeah.
I mean, guys get shoe deals in there?
You don't have a shoe deal?
Shoe deal? I had to buy my own shoes, man. Life has changed.
Life definitely has changed.
I had never played against a white guy when I came into the game. I had never been I had never been to a quality program because I came from a small black school. Now, the only thing saved me from actually getting cut in training camp was the fact that we scrimmaged then all the time. We hit every day, and I got a chance to catch up. Understand what I mean?
I think if it weren't for the way that you did what you did, the position of defensive end, people wouldn't realize how important it is. Everybody says the quarterback's the most important person on the team. But if that quarterback is back there looking around because he doesn't know when he's going to get hit, and you disrupt him, you disrupt the entire team. And the position that does that is our position, defensive end. And it's amazing to me because if a guy stays out of trouble, especially if a guy goes out there and plays hard, and he plays hurt, and he gives it all he has, he's called a throwback.
Yeah, I know.
So what does that mean?
I noticed that.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that goes to show the differences between the game then and the game now.
Right.
Is whenever you can go out there and do those things, you're called a throwback. And it's seen as it's a big compliment to be called it. It's like the ultimate compliment.
I want to make the ultimate comment because I saw that in you before I even met you. Because I watch your game. I watch all defensive ends, my friend. I mean, any defensive end come through this league, believe me, my eyes has been on him, since he got here. I like to watch how you attack the play. See how Michael's attacking. See what kind of attitude he's got.
Hey, I told you I was coming. I told you. I think that's interesting because you want the respect of the players that you play with.
That's exactly
I want the respect of you. I want you to say when you see me, Michael, you know what? You're giving it all. You're playing. You're doing everything you need to do to try to win, and you're making me proud.
And it's intercepted by Michael Strahan, running down the right sideline, touchdown!
In this sport, what does it is respect from people who played, who've been in your position.
I agree with you. 1,000%.
Coming up, Chiefs tight end Tony Gonzalez gets tips from Hall of Famer John Mackey.
Try that on me.
Okay. Like that, and then come around. Boom!
Southern California has always been known for its sun, sand, and surf. Now it has also become home to great NFL tight ends. Two of the game's best of the past and present live just a few miles apart, but had never met until recently.
Oh, yeah. How you doing?
All right, man.
Good. The man right here.
All right, man.
It's good to meet you.
My pleasure.
In the 1960s, Hall of Famer John Mackey revolutionized the tight end position. Today, the Chiefs' Tony Gonzalez may be doing the same all over again. The former college basketball player has emerged as Kansas City's primary target, and his athleticism is head and shoulders above most other players at his position. In his days with the Colts, Mackey became the game's first truly athletic tight end. He possessed the speed to go downfield as effectively as a wide receiver, while still displaying the brute force of a lineman.
People say I revolutionized the position, but basically I went to Syracuse University. My roommate was Ernie Davis, who won the Heisman Trophy. All I ever did as a tight end was block for number 44. So consequently, I didn't know how to run pass patterns. So when I came to the National Football League and I went deep, they said I was the first tight end to go deep. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to go deep. I saw Raymond Berry go deep. I saw Jimmy Orr go deep. I was just as fast as they were. I said, why can't I go deep? And Unitas said, go deep.
Gonzalez may not go deep as often as Mackey, but he still shares the same passion for the game.
Best thing about football is that competitiveness too. I mean, just going out there competing, just getting in somebody. I love when somebody's talking to me in my ear because it just makes my game elevate. And it makes me want to go out there and just kick their butt a little bit more and just beat them. I really enjoy going out there in the contact of the game too. I mean, I like hitting. You have to enjoy mixing it up a little bit because you get the best of both worlds, especially at tight end. I think we have the best position in the NFL. I mean, you get to block somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And then also you get to go out there and catch passes and run and be like Jim Brown. So, I mean, it's fun. I mean, I enjoy it.
Of course, the position isn't all fun, and sometimes the toughest part is mastering the very basics.
One thing I think people don't know about the tight end position is getting off the line. I mean, I had so much trouble, especially as a rookie. You're in this tight end stance, and they're just jamming you off the line. You can't get off the ball. And I was just wondering, do you have any techniques on trying to maybe slip or whatever, getting off the ball, trying to go down the field and get
Well, the key to that is to get off on the count. Linebackers like to grab the tight end. You know, so when you reach out to grab me, you know what I mean? I knock you off this way. When you reach out to grab me, you know, sometimes I knock you this way. And like Deacon Jones, he had the head slap. They don't do that today. But Deacon Jones, he'd raise his hand, pow, and he'd grab you and he'd go. But this is how you stop that. Try that on me.
Okay. Like that, and then come around.
Boom! But make sure you have a piece of foam rubber up here, because if you don't, man, it's going to ring in your ears. But if you have it, it'll ring in his ears, and he'll do this. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So what you have to do is you got to punish that guy in front of you, boy. Punish him.
Watching you on film, I thought it was unbelievable the way you broke tackles. I haven't seen so many players do that. That's like running back moves. That's like what Jim Brown did. That's why I wanted to know, how did you do it? The way you come through it all the time. One most memorable play I saw you was that play you caught in the flat. And like 8 guys tried to tackle you.
Right.
And you went through them all like they were nothing, and you scored a touchdown.
Well, one was my teammate, Lenny Moore. I knocked him down, too. When you catch the ball and you turn up, the key is to let that tackler know it hurts to tackle you. If you hit him, boy, I tell you, the next time you come up, man, and you do this, man, they'll start bracing for the hit. So to always try to punish the person trying to tackle you so that they know it hurts.
I've learned a lot just in this last hour dealing with you and the mentality that it takes and going out there just whooping the guy in front of you, just like you've been saying. And I appreciate everything you've done for the position. It's made it everything that I love about the position today.
Tony, I'll tell you one thing, man. Players today are taking the game forward. And I think that you're on your way to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
so just stay on offense.
Yep.
Kick butt.
Make it hurt. Make them hurt, baby. We'll make them hurt.
Coming up on NFL Century.
I'm anxious to see who that next group is of the young guys that not only bring their game, but bring their character to the game.
When you look at a hero, when you look at someone of that nature, what you're really saying is, gee, I'd like to be like them. There's something about this person that I'd like to emulate.
Vince Lombardi,
Johnny Unitas, Jim Brown, Joe Namath,
Gil Sims,
Dick Butkus,
Roger Staubach.
Leroy Kelly was my idol when I was growing up.
Idols seem to have disappeared with Doris Day, Gunsmoke, and the family Studebaker. Yet, while the shifting sands of pro football have settled into an era of unprecedented popularity, many fans have begun to wonder if heroes are just another relic of the past.
Where's Dick Butkus? You know, where's Sam Huff? Where's Ray Nitschke? They're looking for him. They want him. And he's not there.
The hero worship isn't what it used to be, is what I'm saying. It's more of a marketing thing now, instead of a genuine fan thing.
There's a lot more self-promotion as opposed to promoting the team today than there used to be. And there was a sense that the team was greater than the individual, and I don't see that today.
The difference between the 60s, 70s, or the 70s and 80s when I played and today is you could yell at a guy on a football field.
Grab, grab, grab. Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody tackle.
Today, everybody takes everything so personal.
You guys start making some plays. Be out like that. Force them make some plays. Be out like that.
They said you tackled him. The coaches in the box called it before the officials.
You see the back of what he was?
I didn't see it. The coaches didn't see it. All right, just relax and do it right.
But that ain't my fault, Coach.
Lighten up, guys. It's a game, for crying out loud. It's not life or death. They're paying you millions of dollars. Every one of you is overpaid.
They make more in one game. One ball game, they'll make more money than I made in 16 years. And that did surprise me because I never thought about it, see. But that's right, they do.
Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. I can't do a thing about it.
We got jobs in the offseason. We couldn't retire like these guys do today. They don't have to work. They probably don't have to work the rest of their life.
Today's player, it's very serious because they can't go out and find a job that's going to pay like pro football. And I don't know what would have happened to us if someone had given me a check for $2 million. I might have been in trouble the next day, but I didn't have enough money to get in trouble.
You're 20, 21, 22 years old. All of a sudden, somebody hands you, a few $1 million, and everybody's watching every move you make. If you did that with just any person off the street, they're going to screw up sometimes.
The evolution from athlete to celebrity has created a new paradigm. Hometown heroes have been replaced by gypsy superstars who transcend their surroundings.
It takes everyone a while to learn, who's playing where and who's with whom and, what team he used to be with and all those things. But it has to be accepted because that's football today. If you enjoy football, that's another part to enjoy. I'll tell you one thing, it keeps football in the news year-round now.
Contrary to what a lot of people talk about with free agency and the way the modern game has evolved, I think that the average fan feels closer to a football player today than he would have in the 40s and 50s. We talk about guys like Jim Thorpe in very vague terms because we can't be too specific. We say he was the greatest athlete, and then when questioned, well, how many yards did he rush for? You haven't a clue. But on the other hand, you can be very specific about today's players.
Everybody's watching every move. I mean, they've become heroes. They've become big heroes. Like we weren't. We were just maybe we made the paper every once in a while, and somebody said a good word on TV for us. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't the big business it is today.
You're exposed so much. You're interviewed so much. You're on television so much because you're a star. With that comes some responsibility. You can't have one without the other.
The accountability factor to the media or public is definitely higher than it used to be. But in a way, I think it makes it easier to be a hero because I believe that you're seeing the real thing. If he had any blemishes in his character, that would be magnified. So therefore, if we get a hero, we're getting a genuine hero because of the scrutiny.
I don't think it takes away any of the legendary status. The myths don't evolve quite the same way as they used to. But there's still that connection that I think keeps them separated from the rest of us mere mortals.
I'm anxious to see who that next group is of the young guys that not only bring their game, but bring their character to the game. That'll define the 90s and the new millennium. The new kids, the new characters. Who are they? And I'll tell you something, if they're like the guys of the 60s, then this game has a chance to be absolutely sensational.
As long as Americans play football, the next hero will always be on the horizon, waiting for his chance to capture America's imagination, just as an Iowa long shot did off the banks of the Mississippi.
Kurt Warner's story, it's been written about, talked about, and no one will believe it all, but it's all true. You could see a lot of good things in him, but you couldn't predict as how well he would be under pressure.
Warner back to throw. Rainbow's the far sideline, and it is caught by Asa Cruz. Makes a move to the 30, 25, 20, and they won't catch him today. Touchdown, Rams!
It lets you know that impossible things can happen. The one thing that has amazed me is not the numbers, but the boys as far as the media and handling all the newfound attention.
I don't think the football part of it was as much a question as how I would handle the rest of it. The Lord prepared me and brought me along the way that He did for a reason, so that I would be ready to handle all the media, all the success, all the quick found stardom. Then I could utilize my football skills, but more importantly, influence lives along the way.
Yet Kurt Warner is simply a new name for a familiar hero. Part Horatio Alger, part John Wayne, part Johnny Unitas. He's the underdog who tackles impossible odds and triumphs.
This is a guy that went from arena football to the NFL Europe to the NFL. Each stop along the way, everybody telling me he couldn't do it. And goes on and becomes the MVP of the Super Bowl. And it's kind of like Johnny Unitas, cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers, had to play semi-pro football, brought in with the Baltimore Colts, looked less than dynamic in his first start, goes on to become a Hall of Famer.
If I get to the Hall of Fame, that would be tremendous. I mean, it's obviously the culmination of a career. But again, that's not what I play for, and it's not what drives me. Something inside that makes me want to be the best.
Under some pressure, Rainbow's the far sideline, and he's caught. Touchdown, Rams!
Kurt Warner is not only a throwback to idols of old, he's the keeper of the flame until the next hero seizes the torch. Coming up, Hall of Famer Otto Graham meets Browns quarterback Tim Couch.
I know you didn't try to emulate me, because you weren't even born when I was playing. I know that for sure.
In the storied history of the Cleveland Browns, one quarterback's accomplishments have stood the test of time. From 1946 to 1955, Otto Graham guided his team to 10 straight championship games. Much has changed since Cleveland's glory years, and recently Graham caught up with the new Browns and their young quarterback.
I played, oh my God, it's been 45 years, 6 years I guess since I played, so I'm glad I don't play it anymore. Because watching you linemen, you guys linemen can run faster than our backs could back in our day, And I can promise you one thing. Where's Tim? This is back up Thursday. Where do you go? I promise you I won't try to come back. Thank you.
Browns fans have long wished for the second coming of Otto Graham, and they now hope they found a new savior in Tim Couch. As the first overall draft pick in 1999, Couch was the most productive rookie quarterback in the league last season.
He's going to shoot it long, looking for Johnson in the end zone. He's there, and he's got it! Couch threw that ball about 45 yards, and the only guy that could catch it was Kevin Johnson.
Well, for me growing up, I was fortunate to have guys like yourself and some other quarterbacks along the way, the Johnny Unitas and those guys, that made it possible for me to watch people on TV and to get a chance to have heroes and idolize people. And for me, it was, guys like Joe Montana, Dan Marino, John Elway. Those are the kind of guys I tried to emulate, and just growing up and idolizing those type guys.
And of course, they made a lot more money than I did too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but
you realize that you probably make as much in one quarter as I did in the whole season. You realize that? I know you didn't try to emulate me. Because you weren't even born when I was playing. I know that for sure.
I've seen a lot of film, on the old Browns and stuff, and I realized that you were a great player, and you were the main thing that every quarterback tries to achieve. You played 10 years in the league, you went to 10 straight championship games, and and that's the ultimate for a quarterback. It's all about winning, and stats are always good, throwing for big numbers, but the ultimate goal, I think, for everyone is to win, and you kind of symbolize that.
The usually steady Graham also stumbled upon a new play for the Browns' game plan.
The draw play, very frankly, came from the Browns by accident. One time we were running, backtracking, and the guy was covered on offense and so forth, and the lineman and I stumbled, and I gave the ball to Marion Motley, and he ran off and made a first down. Strictly by accident, that's the way the draw play finally came into being.
The draw play was one of several innovations by the Browns and their legendary head coach.
Paul Brown gets the credit for the first face mask, and I'm the first guy who ever wore one. I got my face smashed in a ball game, and I got a gash across my left here, about 12 stitches or so forth. I was not cold. Came to in the locker room and started sewing me up. So after the season was over, Paul Brown gave to some local inventor and so forth. They came up with this face mask. It was very thin, and the vision was good, and did the job and so forth. And I'll never forget a couple of linemen I played against. They said to me, "You're not a man until you've had some of your teeth knocked out." Well, that's the most asinine statement I've ever heard in my life. How the heck do you want to become a nice guy because you have your teeth knocked out?
Right.
No, I prefer keeping them myself.
Exactly.
And you ever been bashed real tough yourself?
Yeah, I've been hit pretty hard a couple times. I think this year Javon Kearse kind of picked me up and slammed me on my head. I was laying on the ground and my face mask was over here and I was looking out my ear hole, so that was probably one of the hardest hits I took all year.
Couch endured a league-high 56 sacks last season and got a crash course in what it takes to guide an NFL offense.
The thing that makes a great leader is doing it when it counts. The whole world's watching, and it's 3rd and 8. They got to believe in you that you're going to throw the ball and get the first down. And I think that's what really makes a leader is guys, knowing that you can get the job done, believing in your talents and things. So I think if you have the belief of the guys in the huddle, then you can get it done.
Couch with 2 seconds to go, being chased, heaves one down the near sideline to the right. Looking for Kevin Johnson. Ball is tipped. Johnson's got it! He's got it! He's got it! Touchdown Browns! Unbelievable!
The most important thing about being a quarterback is to have the confidence in your teammates that you're going to get the job done. And so I always try to tell them, hey, get this done. I'll get you your first down. I'll do it, but you got to give me some time and so forth. And they work that much harder.
It's been an honor, just getting a chance to sit down and talk to you and hear the stories about, how it was when you played. I got a lot of respect for you and what you did as far as winning all your championships. And I just hope I can have half the success that you had here in Cleveland.
I'll give you a 10-1 bet that you do make it. Want to bet?
I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Browns fans can only hope their future is as glorious as their past. Coming up, Bucs linebacker Derek Brooks goes face-to-face with Jack Lambert.
If you go out there and play your heart out every single Sunday, no matter who you're playing, then you'll have my respect.
Do I have your respect now?
No.
Tucked away in the mountains of western Pennsylvania is a sportsman's paradise, a place where hikers find peace, hunters track game, and Buccaneers linebacker Derek Brooks came seeking validation from Jack Lambert.
I would like to have the respect of any linebacker that's playing the game. Respect is something I feel you earn.
I agree 100%. I think that respect is something you earn, and if you go out there and play your heart out every single Sunday, no matter who you're playing, then you'll have my respect.
Do I have your respect now?
No. No, I'm just kidding. You're a hell of a player, buddy. Believe me.
Earning Jack Lambert's respect is no small feat. As the emotional leader of the Steel Curtain, he won 4 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We were doing things no other linebackers were doing. We were covering halfbacks man-to-man. We were covering tight ends man-to-man. We were doubling wide receivers, like you guys do down in Tampa.
Did the middle linebacker still run down the middle of the field and cover 2?
And cover 2, oh yeah. You got to worry about that tight end. There's a weakness right there. You got to run with the tight end right down the middle. You don't want to split those safeties.
Exactly. We do that now. People wonder how we play cover 2. We'll say we played just like the Steelers played back in the early 70s.
And that was a big coverage for us too.
It is
very successful for us.
It is now, and people trying to find ways to beat it, but they can't.
Tampa Bay's success on defense has drawn comparisons to the Steel Curtain, and Derek Brooks plays Jack Lambert to Warren Sapp's Joe Green.
I think you intimidate people by the way you play. A lot of guys go out there running their miles and don't have nothing to back it up, and I'm kind of the opposite. I want to shut you up rather than talk you to death.
Well, I think intimidation is vastly overrated. I think it's something the media came up with somewhere. I think that when you're in high school, you might be able to be intimidated, but let's face it, we're all professional athletes, and you're not scared of me, and I'm not scared of you. Let's buckle up and see what happens. Anybody can yip and yap.
Exactly.
But who can put somebody on their back? That's intimidation.
A lot more of the big hits are more old footage. Back when you guys were playing, that's when the most of the big hits occurred. Because now you hit somebody too hard, they're going to fine you. They're going to take money out your pocket. So it's.
Well, now wait a minute. I remember a game against the Cleveland Browns one time when I hit Brian Sipe and the referee threw a flag on me, and I asked him why. He said, "You hit him too hard." I said, "I hit him too hard." Where is there a rule in the book where you hit somebody too hard? Explain that one to me. And so that happened back when I played too.
While the game has changed little since Lambert's playing days, widespread player movement has created an entirely different culture.
It saddens me to see players that play for extended careers with one team and end up having to leave that team and go somewhere else and finish their careers. Hopefully, I get a chance to play my whole career in Tampa.
I think the people that suffer the most are the fans. That was the nice thing about being here in Pittsburgh. Most of the guys were here for their entire career, and the fan base, they all had their favorite players.
Jack, I have come all the way from Mexico to see you, man. This is my dream.
And nowadays, you just get attached to someone. He's really your favorite player, and he leaves.
Lambert is more perturbed by the way that some play the game.
I was out here mowing grass one day, and the Steelers were playing. I went down to the basement to get something to drink, and the game was on, and they were getting beat bad. And one of the receivers from the Steelers caught a pass. And after he caught it, he got up and he pulled his jersey up, and there was a Superman t-shirt underneath it. And I'm thinking to myself, now, if this was me, if we were getting beat in front of I don't know how many million people, I'd be looking for a place to hide from the camera. And I think that's a big difference today. I think it's more of and I'm not saying that the players are more selfish. Maybe I am saying that. It's more me as opposed to team.
There's guys that play the game. We lost the game, but, my statistics were good, so I'm fine. I can't sleep like that.
Damn!
Antoine, the ball carrier.
Damn!
That throwback attitude has Derek Brooks aiming to end his career on Jack Lambert's team.
Hall of Fame is something that I want to be part of. I feel that's really the only way that people remember, and that's how your greatness is measured.
It may or may not surprise you to know that I never even dreamed of it until probably the last year in the league when media people were starting to say Lambert's going to get in the Hall of Fame. I just didn't think it was attainable. I think the Hall of Fame is for your heroes. And I've said this before, you're never in your own mind as good as your heroes.
A lot of players on those teams that won a lot of Super Bowls find themselves in the Hall of Fame. So I feel that winning and being part of the championship team is definitely a direction to go and be part of.
And yet there are a lot of great football players that never ever got a chance to go to a Super Bowl.
Exactly. I want to be one of those that do.
I hope you are.
time will tell if Derek Brooks makes it to Canton. But either way, he's got a Hall of Fame friend in Lambert Country.
Now, if you're lucky, you'll see a dead bluegill floating up on top of the water.
Coming up on NFL Century.
We all have pride, and I hate to admit it, but as time goes on, kids are bigger, faster, and I guess they're better.
As old meets new and one generation passes the game on to the next, it remains to be seen how players of the coming century will measure up to those of the past.
You know, there's always that age-old debate, who is better, older or newer?
I don't think that you can generalize it. I think that certain ball players that played in my era never could play in any era. Certain caliber ball players.
I agree.
We'll never know what era was the best or who was the best. Ain't no way you can do it because we don't play under the same circumstances.
The athletes of today are better than the athlete of our day because they're bigger, they weigh a lot more, they're taller, they're faster. You get a guy who's 6'5", 6', 7", weighs 300 pounds, you run faster than you can. It's like a small car running into a big car. Who's going to get hurt most? People in a small car.
In 1989, the year I retired, there were about 28 players in the entire league that weighed over 300 pounds. Today, that number's over 250 that weigh over 300 pounds. They have linebackers and some linemen who now run the 40-yard dash faster than I ever did.
Hurst knocks the ball away. Hurst picks it up at the 15, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, 3.
When the athletes come out of college, they're so much better. They say, well, why is everybody getting bigger, stronger, faster? It's because what they're doing now is better than what we used to do.
But you know, back in those days, you didn't have all these programs they're on. See, they get in high school now, they get on these down weight programs and things. Get away, and you get away. And boys are bigger, stronger, they're better.
When I joined the Redskins in 1974, we basically went to training camp on the 4th of July to get in shape for the season. We didn't have any off-season training program. Today, guys barely get 6 weeks off when the season ends, and all of a sudden, bang, they're into an off-season training program. So the athletes are more trained, more honed, more prepared.
If I was in this era, I'd be in that weight room too.
Yeah.
So my body would be equal to their bodies now. Okay? So ain't no question about the fact that I could play in this era. There's no question about that. I just wish I could put this old body at 24 through this kind of program and see what kind of football player I might have been, you know. This is a real complicated looking machine here. I have no idea what it is, but maybe it could probably get me back on the field. Maybe they've gone that far in technology.
We got a shot.
Of course, you know, we all have pride, and I hate to admit it, but as time goes on, first of all, the kids are bigger, faster, and I guess they're better. Although, individually, I think there are guys from my time that could fit in no problem.
Certain players of the past do seem to transcend time, and the impact made by yesterday's heroes should not be forgotten by the players of today.
I think it's very important that past players pass a knowledge and appreciation and understanding of the traditions of the game on to the younger players. But the greatest challenge that faces both the older player and the younger player is the younger player willing to listen to the older player? Is the younger player willing to understand the traditions of the game?
You are a team. And I cannot emphasize that word too much. You're a team.
I think it's important for the guys that are in the NFL now to hear what it was like back then and talk to some guys that played their position and just kind of, I think it's interesting to talk and see how the game has changed and how it's evolved to what it is now. It's important for us to, realize who made the game what it is and realize, why we're getting paid a lot of money to play this game and realize why all the fans love watching the NFL and why it's such a popular sport is because the guys that played it before you and made it what it is today. When I'm out of the league and your age, hopefully I'll be sitting in your shoes and some young guy will be talking to me the same way I am to you.
I think that we definitely owe it to those guys and what they did for us to pave the way. And I really like it anytime I see a guy mention those guys. Mention the guys that came before you. Mention those guys that I'm sure you took some of their moves. When you were growing up, I know I did. I'm looking at Tony Dorsett and thinking his spin move and Eric Dickerson's stiff arm and just the way Gale Sayers cut on a dime. Just you look at all those things, and I remember emulating all those guys, and that's had a lot to do with the player I am today because of playing on the Sandlot field and pretending that I was those guys, and that's how I learned my moves.
I realize what the Deacon Joneses, the Merlin Olsons, what they accomplished and the road that they paved to make it easier for guys like myself, guys like Reggie White. I realize what has taken place over the time in the history of this league. And every time I get an opportunity, I relay that to some of these younger guys. It's my duty, it's my obligation.
Everything that you guys did, I appreciate it too. Just want to tell you thank you. And I think sometimes it's overlooked, but hopefully players like myself and a lot of other players in the league can bring back that respect to you guys. You guys deserve it.
I know, man, that I'm proud of you, man, and I want you to keep kicking butt on Sundays because you will get into the Hall of Fame. And it's not enough to be a Hall of Fame player. You got to be a Hall of Fame person, and it's a pleasure because I think you're a Hall of Fame person.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There will always be room for new faces to join those that gathered on Hall of Fame weekend. They are snapshots of history, each man a portrait of the game. And during football's greatest reunion, they welcomed the newest additions to their family album.
This is the beginning of the rest of my life with a new team, and they've taught me the true meaning of what the Hall of Fame is really all about. Because it is a beginning for me, and a tremendous, tremendous honor.
It's the biggest fraternity you will ever be until the Lord brings us home.
That's right. They will all be back.
I love you, man.
We'll be playing against each other.
Yeah, we will, man. I love you, man.
You too, man. Thank you, so.
I've always had an appreciation for the history of the National Football League. And today the class of 2000 has the good fortune of sharing the stage with the many great players who helped pave the way for not only today's inductees, but the many players who play the game today.
As the sun sets on one century, the game's past gives way to its future. While much has changed over the years, the essence of the game remains the same, and the same passion and desire can be seen in today's heroes. The torch will always be passed to a new generation, to men who look to carry on the traditions of the game while building their own lasting legacy.
This NFL Films production has been brought to you by the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.